Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Today we're just going to be breaking down this little beat I made the other day in the style of this artist named Eli Sostre. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If you haven't heard of him, definitely go check him out. He's a super dope R&B hip-hop artist. Most of his stuff is produced by one guy. His name is Soriano. Super crazy fire producer. Hope to work with him someday. But yeah, before we get into it, just a super fast reminder that you can go to Cotton Minded Kits Vertigo and Silhouettes, and you can get 25% off both of those with this code right here. Links for those will be in the description. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so before I start breaking it down, I will show y'all a little preview of what the beat sounds like.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
So the biggest sauce I can offer for these kind of beats is to be friends with the guy who makes a lot of the samples that they use. No, but I did start with a 4 Nights sample, and 4 Nights has worked with Eli Sostre before, so that's pretty sick, and kind of guarantees that it'll be the right style for it. But this is what the sample sounds like. It was originally in 124 BPM. I bumped it up to 132, and it was, I think, originally in like D sharp minor. I just bumped it up one to E minor. First thing I did was this intro section here with this sub bass, which is just this vinyl bass from Only One's Balenciaga 4 kit. Super cool. It's got like a weird fuzz distortion built in. I just did this little pattern. So I like to do this a lot with my sub basses, especially in like intros, is cut it at either the first or the second snare and then have it come back in, then just have like a passing tone lead into the next note or the next 4 bars kind of thing. This G does here. Super simple in the first half. Second half has a little more embellishment, I guess you could say. Those are just some things I like to do in my sub basses. Not too much on that respace, just a Fruity Blood overdrive to add a little bit more distortion, and then a Fruity EQ to cut out those subs, and then just boost a bit of the mids. After that, I went ahead and added this Perc Loop, also from an Only One kit, and I used the Cross Stick Room preset in Vintage Verb, brought the mix down a bit, and then cut out the lows, and those just together with the sample sound like this. So it just makes kind of a nice atmosphere for like a build-up section that leads into the drop. And in the drop, the first thing I started with was just these 2 rims layered together. One of them's this Stag rim from an Only One kit, and the other one is this eccentric rim from my Vertigo kit. And I just layered those together, used this EQ just to bring up some of the high mids and some of the low mids. And I also used the built-in EQ right here just to add some shine to it. From there, I added this kick. Then these hi-hats, nothing too fancy here, just some 6th rolls with some like variation in the velocity. And then, like I usually do on those hi-hats, I did put a stereo shaper on the shrinked preset just to spread them out a bit, and then I brought the mix down to about half. After that, I started adding some perks, just a couple extra rims and snares. From there, some open hats. This one just hits on the 1, 3, 5, and 7 with alternating velocities up and down, and it also has some reverb on it. Then another Perc Loop, also from an Only One kit. I just brought the pitch way down on that one. Then I bandpassed it, so it was just pretty much the high frequencies, and then the same shrinked preset in stereo shaper. So just add some texture. And then finally was the 808, which is my favorite part of this beat. It's the Decimor 808 from Cryptic's most recent kit, I believe. The SFAD2. I just pitched it a little bit because it was a little off key, made sure it was squared off in the envelope, and I boosted it a little bit so it's quite a bit louder. And then I just followed the root notes of the chords, and I cut off a bunch of the notes at the snares to leave some space for the other drums to shine through. Soriano does this a lot, especially in Eli's music. And then I use the trick. I usually use this on sub basses, but it does work on 808s as well, where you have a high note that you want the note to slide from, and you put it at almost zero velocity, and then you use a slide note of the same length down to the note you want it to slide down to, obviously, and you have that one on full velocity, so it has kind of a cool effect where it like ramps up in volume as it slides down. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Pretty simple pattern. Towards the end of the second half, it does switch up a little bit. On that 808, I just have a little bit of pretty fast distortion on the A preset. These are those settings, and I brought the mix down to about a third in the mixer. I used a imager just to make sure the lows are pretty mono, and then I boosted all of the other bands so they're a little more stereo. And then this EQ just cut out the subs, boost a bit of the mids, a bit of the highs, and cut off the very highs. And basically that was it for the drums. There are two drum sections that alternate. They're pretty much the same, it's just in the arrangement that changes. Like in this one, the kick 808 and rim come in late, and I add back in this Perc Loop. And then in this version, in the second half, the hi-hats stop after the second snare. Just for some variation and some added bounce. So then the last thing I did was these little breakdown sections, which are actually, I think, kind of like a staple of Eli's music, are these like string breakdowns between sections. So I started out with an omnisphere, if it'll load without crashing my FL Studio. There we go. It was just on the Adagio Transparent Strings Warm preset. I don't think I changed much here. I did bring the reverb down quite a bit. And I just, by ear, figured out what chords were being played, or close to them at least. And I just played this pattern here. And for effects, I think this is actually the Stereo Eyes preset. Then an RC20, these are the settings I use, and a EQ just to cut out all those lows. Then I layered that with another Omnisphere preset. This one's Vintage 1964 String Orchestra. Same thing, just brought the reverb down, and then I put an EQ on this one, cut out the lows, and then I boosted the highs, and then I also put reels on it. These are those settings if you want to mess with those together. So they just add kind of a really old analog feel. They sound like they're just super fucked up, and then these ones are more full and stereo, so together they have kind of a cool effect. Then there's this bass, which was just a one shot from a Bass One Pilgrim kit, the Lotus kit, and it's the Audi bass. I just pitched it a bit, trimmed it, brought down the out so that it wasn't so long, and then I did this pattern right here. It's even simpler than the 808 and the bass pattern. It just follows the notes. Actually, I think it is the same as the original like Reese bass pattern. It just doesn't cut off at the snares like that one does. So those three things together sound like this. And on that bass, I just threw a Guitar Rig 5 on the Vintage Bass preset, then some Blood Overdrive once again, another Ozone Imager. This time I brought the lows down even more, and then this EQ, and then with the sample. And then that happens here, then it happens again over here, and I add one more string instrument, which is a preset in Mellotron 5 from Arturia. It's the long time ago preset. I'm actually not sure if it's from like an external bank or if it's stock with Analog Lab, but that's the preset I used, and this is the pattern. Nothing super fancy. I didn't even add anything on the mixer. It was already sounding good to me from just the plugin. And then I actually also just like doubled up a bunch of the notes in the other 2 string instruments, just to make it a lot more full. So like over here is just the triads, and then over here I just doubled a bunch of those notes. So that section sounds like this. So yeah, that's pretty much the beat. Besides that, it was just arranging, which I kind of already talked about with like these hats and the drums coming in late and these kind of bridge section breakdowns. Beyond that, it was just a lot of risers and crashes and stuff to like build momentum throughout it. Nothing too fancy or interesting there. And then just our tags, of course. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far especially, shout out to you. I appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff you already know. Like I said before, you can use this code for 25% off both my kits, Vertigo and Silhouette, on my BeatStars page, link in the description. Go follow my Instagram at prodby_instinct. You can DM me there with any questions. I usually try to respond to those. Subscribe to my main channel, which will also be in the description, where I post all my beats. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will play the beat right now, and you can also go check out the full beat over on my main channel if you'd like to do that. But until next time, peace.
Do not go gentle into that good night.